Wanted to catch up with y'all, give you an idea of what I'm doing at the moment. It's been a while since I've posted a video. If you're unfamiliar with the game you're looking at right now, this is Super Volleyball for the Sega Genesis. Possibly came out before you were born. When I look at the analytics, that's my audience. This is, it's probably still my favorite volleyball game ever. And this is definitely the inspiration for this volleyball game that I'm making right now. This is the game that I always think about and reference in my head. And I think it's maybe, this is like 30-year-old game. I think it's still aged well, still does a lot of the things that I like. So I don't know, it's a cool game. This me playing it. It's kind of fun. What am I doing right now? I am working on volleyball game, and at the moment I am building up content for an announcement trailer. I haven't really done that yet, so I want to reveal the name of the game, which I've already picked out, show some sort of gameplay with it, probably pretty short, and then open the game up for wish lists and, following it on Steam. It's not too far out, the trailer. I'm mostly just improving art right now, and I think it's going pretty well. The game looks good. That's important. Gameplay still needs work, but that's expected at this time in development. And I am hoping to release a demo before the end of the year. That's been my plan. And I'd like to do a closed playtest or two before then, so y'all can get some hands-on time, give me some feedback. So it's a good reminder, if you haven't joined my Discord or you don't follow me on social media yet, click the links in the description so you know when that happens. You're not finding out about it when it's too late. The last couple of years have been a bit scattered for me. Finished Sunday Rivals and started working on a bunch of different things. There was the helicopter game for a bit, and there was a beach volleyball prototype that I put out. There was a baseball prototype that I put out, which is a lot of fun still. I still think that's pretty fun. I remastered Mini Hockey Champ not too long ago, and that's turned out really great. I was working on a Yar's Revenge clone, if you saw that. Not a lot of you did, but that was fun. At some point I started making a street basketball game, which kind of, maybe not the right theme, but it was like, oh man, basketball makes a lot of sense. Started digging into that more, and last year I announced Storm the Court, and I worked pretty damn hard on that for about 9 months in 2024, and I was aiming for a closed play test for that at the end of the year, and I spent the last few months of the year kind of leading up to this play test and really just trying to tighten up what I had. I wanted about 5 to 10 minutes worth of gameplay that you could, feel the loop of it, and just to let me know if I was on the right track, or, if this game sucks and you suck and you should be working on Sunday Rivals forever. But I never got there. The game never felt good enough where I was like, any feedback would actually be productive. It became obvious that the game was missing something important, and I could not figure it out for the life of me at the time. So I took a break, and I just kind of stepped back for a week or two and just started thinking about what is starting to go wrong and why it felt like the game was slipping away from me. And I knew Thanksgiving was coming up at the time. It was at the end of November, and I had 5 days off, and I was just looking at my prototypes, and I started thinking about beach volleyball again, and it was like a 2-on-2, probably not the right thing, but man, there was something there that still spoke to me about that prototype, and I think I just really remembered how much fun I had making it. It was, coming off of Sunday Rivals and getting the game out, and making the type of game that people wanted, and within the restrictions of what the game could ultimately become. The volleyball game felt like a breath of fresh air at the time, and I kind of had that light bulb moment again during Thanksgiving. So I realized, man, I had not been having any fun making Storm the Court in months, and it's like, yeah, that's probably the problem. There had come a point where I was actively making decisions about the game that were solely meant to please like this hypothetical audience that I didn't even have or really knew if it even existed. What I was doing was I was looking at social media and various basketball communities or, things on the internet and kind of taking inventory of what people were talking about. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, the game really needs to have X, Y, and Z. And, that ultimately transformed the game into something I didn't recognize, and I was no longer making the type of game I actually wanted to play anymore. That's the whole point of why I do any of this. I love sports games, and I hate that there's so few, and the ones that we got are all kind of fundamentally broken in one way or another. And, so instead of me just complaining about it online, I'm like, I'll just make, what I think is missing. I'll just make that game that I want to play. And man, Storm the Court at the end of 2024, that wasn't that. I wasn't making that anymore. So during that long weekend that I had, I was just like, whatever, let's just try this. There's a 6-on-6 volleyball game out there, and I want one, and let's just make one. I just kind of dug into it, and in that process, I found myself really enjoying what I was doing again. The game didn't have to be anything. It only had to be fun to me. And I've been working on this volleyball game for a few months now, and that feeling that I had during that 5-day period, it hasn't gone away. So it's starting to feel like I really made the right decision there, and I feel back on track with how development should feel for me. I still want to make Storm the Court, though. Now is probably not just the right time, but it needs to start over and from scratch. Like I need to completely reconsider how I was making the game. But that's okay, because as I've been making this volleyball game, I've learned all these things, how to do stuff properly that I was just kind of guessing with in Storm the Court. And I find myself writing code for this volleyball game and going oh crap, that'll totally work for basketball too, like the way the ball works or whatever. So I'm solving both of these problems at once, and all these systems that I'm making for volleyball, they'll just find their way into Storm the Court eventually. So when I've said I'm working on both of these, that's what I mean. I'm physically working on one, but in my head I'm working on the other, figuring out how the two will translate together. I do realize though that there's probably not a ton of overlap right now between folks who played one or both of my first two my games, and maybe people who were excited about Storm the Court and volleyball, but maybe you'll give it a shot either way. I hope it will still be a fun first game. It'll be super easy to get into. I think all of my games do that pretty well. I'll have that high action arcadey feeling. If you do enjoy volleyball or you understand the sport, it'll have depth and strategy and all the things that make volleyball feel like volleyball. Or it'll have customization. You'll be able to make custom teams. You'll be able to do franchise mode. That'll all be in there. It'll have girls in it. Hey, that's valid, right? That's totally valid. It's a good reason to play the game too. Yeah, this volleyball game is going to be really important for me as a dev. I want to make a bunch of sports games. I want to keep making them, and I want each one to feel fun and innovative and truly find that definitive 26K experience, what that means. Something that feels authentic and original. Just holy crap, I'm so glad someone is making games like this in 2025, because man, it's rough out there, games should make you feel a certain type of way, and I don't think they're doing that very much anymore. Someone should do something about that.
You're not that guy.
Okay.
Okay?
Are you?
Absolutely.